And welcome back to Reality with Reality Hub. And we're recording again with our guest, Richard, in quarantine number 2. How are you, Richard? And how are you, Rob?
I'm good, thank you.
Hey, welcome back, Richard. So,
Thank you.
we've moved on. How long has it been? A week?
It's been a week. Yep. I think it's been a week.
It's been a week?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
we're using a platform which has a slight delay. So if we crosstalk against each other, just be wary of that.
Okay.
For those of us listening from home, it's a little bit different to our usual setup. We're doing another remote system, trying something different today. Mm-hmm. So, Richard, after last week's podcast, how did you feel about the reflections and your experience so far?
Well, number one, I am less jet lagged this week than I was last week. And that was something I didn't count on because I've always been pretty good at handling jet lag. But I was jet lagged. It took me days to get my patterns right. So I feel a bit more energetic this week. And you know what? The time has gone really, really fast. That's the first takeaway for me. Time has gone so fast, and I've told other people in here that, and they said, "Oh, yeah, we're surprised too." So it's not just me, it's a thing that happens in quarantine. Apparently, time seems to go pretty quickly, especially in the second week. It's like it speeds up. I don't know why, because obviously nothing's changed at all, and I've not been out on my daily exercises, so I haven't been doing anything to, pass the time particularly. Just seems to be going really quickly. So, we're getting fed, we're getting treated really well. I mean, there's a few things here and there that are a bit weird, but, the whole idea of quarantine's weird. So, yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
So passing time and stuff, that's good that it actually is passing quickly. I'm surprised to hear that. But do you have some sort of routine and structure during the year? I mean, apart from the fact that you get the food, but what do you, because I find having some sort of routine and structure quite helpful. That sort of scenario,
definitely. It was. I know someone who was in here before me, and she said that you will find yourself your day dictated by when your food arrives. And I was like, come on, happen, and it's like totally. You hear that knock on the door, they go like this. Room service. So you run to the door and you hear feet upstairs. So obviously other people are running to the door as well. And you grab your little paper bag and you eagerly, because you can never remember what was on the menu and it's never exact. Well, sometimes it's right. Most of the time it's right, but sometimes it's not. It's like a little surprise. So, but you do find your day is centered around the 3 meals that you get, because I got to say, guys, I was the first week I had it good. This week they have decided to integrate our brunch and afternoon tea into our 3 main meals. So it's less food, basically.
So you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they don't give you
there's no
number
snacks.
4 and number 5.
No, and it was ridiculous to think about, really. They're running up and down the stairs or in the lift or whatever, knocking at everyone's door, room service just for a little pie or a little quiche. So, I can see why they did it, but definitely the volume of food has been cut back a little bit, which probably is good in a lot of ways.
And your interaction with, obviously, the other guests is very limited and minimal, except for last night, right? So what happened last night?
Oh, Rob. So, I'm laying in bed watching Fargo season 3, actually. I'm late to the party on that season. It's brilliant. And I'm really into it. And then...
the dreaded alarm.
Alarm goes off. So, as usual, everyone is really, really slow to react. I can't hear any movement. I can't hear any doors. So... I put my jeans on, I put a jacket on, I put my mask on, I put my cap on, I put my shoes on, and I run to the door and open the door, and everyone was obviously trying to do the same thing because no one's dressed in here, right? I mean, you might have a towel around you might have your undies or whatever.
Well, it's unexpected.
No one's fully dressed in their room. It's quarantine, right? So you can tell that brief pause time frame was everyone getting dressed because everyone opened the doors at the same time. Really tired. I was like, what's that? Is this real? Is this happening? Oh, you hear it too? You hear it too? It must be real. So, and we all go running towards the lift and then realize we can't go down the lift. So we all go down the stairs and it's just like this herd of people going downstairs, really annoyed that their evening has been broken up, because this happened like about 6:10, and dinner comes around 6:20 to 7:00.
Okay,
so it was like
evening,
peak. Not morning, but it was peak dinner time. But we can't warm anything up, so if it's cold.
Yeah, before you continue, like, what happens to the whole social distancing in that situation when you're in a tight stairwell?
The thing is that there's not as many people on my floor as there seemed to have been last week.
Oh, okay.
So on my floor in particular, it was pretty okay. But as we got down level 2, level 3, level 2, level 1, it started to really get clogged up, and you just can't do it. You can't social distance when you're, quote, running in an emergency, or so. And we got outside, and there wasn't much social distancing. And what was funny was that everyone took an opportunity to start talking.
Yeah.
Because a Canadian or American woman came up to me and she said, it's when you're the only one in your room, it's kind of weird, right, to see people? And I'm like, yeah, it is. It is weird.
Yeah, and, what a wonderful opportunity. I mean, you've been isolated for, just over a week. And you've had minimal physical or human contact, and now is an opportunity where you brought together and go, hey, maybe you're my neighbor, maybe you're the person, making that noise on the roof.
Your alarm would have been the best news of your day.
Yeah. I know you said that last night, Stephen. But it was too. But in hindsight, it was quite funny, because after a couple of words, you just go, yeah, and then are you finding this? Are you finding this? Yeah, I'm finding it too. And then you go, yeah, a bit chilly. You just run out of things to say.
Yeah.
Because you realize you don't know this person. You're here, I'm here. That's it, really. And there was this lady, she was running around with her phone, getting people to take photos of her underneath the Sky Tower. So she was using her time wisely.
Sure.
And I mumbled to this woman, did you disinfect that phone? She, I don't know if she laughed or not. She had a mask on. But so the social distancing kind of disappeared for a while. But, it was a little break. It was kind of exciting. There was no fire. Best that I say that for anyone.
Because I was going to ask, was it a false alarm?
Yeah.
Or
it was a false alarm, and very kindly. Carry on, Rob.
Yeah, often they have to do these drills, to practice. So I know the gym I go to, they often, particularly during the quiet times in the morning, they do these fire drills, because just to practice, which is a good thing to do, to see what happens and how fast they can clear the people out, and just see how it all works.
Go to the gym. No, I know. It's funny because we ran downstairs, and then this is the funny part, is that they couldn't get the microphone, the loud hailer to work, right? The megaphone, and so so this guy comes over, and he's from the Air Force, nice bloke, and he goes and takes it from the lady, and you can see him say, "Look, I'll take care of this," and then he goes, and he's moving his lips. We can't hear a thing he's saying. So he just decides he's going to yell, and he goes, right, everybody, his hands around his mouth. Everybody, we're going to make our way back inside, and we got to, obviously one person in the lift at a time. A massive groan, because there's 2 lifts, 8 floors, all these people outside. How long is that going to take? What, 3.5 hours? So then he starts saying, people with children first. And how grateful these people are to have children in a situation like this. And they were like, oh, yes. So they all mass walk towards the lifts like, I have a child. And they get to go up first. So the people who are childless and single at the back, or in the single room, I should say, not in a bubble. And we sort of go, oh, no. And then they opened up the no, and that the Ridges Hotel was saying no, and the Air Force guy was trying to make the guy from Ridges see sense, and finally he did. Had he not opened those doors and let us walk up the stairs, I honestly, we would have been there for hours. So, yeah, but it was eventful, I don't think anyone absconded. There was talk of it. You could hear people mumbling about it and laughing, but I don't think anyone took off. Well, not that I would hear about it, or maybe anyone would hear about it, but I don't think anyone did, which was good. Everyone was well behaved.
So do you think people have generally played ball?
It feels like this week, I've been minimal amount of time outside the room this week. In fact, that and getting my second swab test from the lady who, so she'd been to there were only 3 nurses this time, healthcare workers, doing the swabs. Last week there were about 5, so there were 2 people swabbing, very, very quick, very smooth. This time there was a long queue that took a while, and the lady had been to, and I know this because when they rang the room, there was a delay. I was supposed to get the swab at about 12. I ended up getting it about 3:34, and because these 3 nurses had been to 5 other facilities in Auckland that day. So can you imagine how they feel by the time they get to me? So she's like, stand there, put your head back, not that far back, not that far back, move it forward. What are you doing? Oh, can you move down? No, up. Oh, and it was just she was having a bad day. And I got my little swab when it came back negative this morning, so, all good. But there seems to be a lot.
Was it painful?
This one was more uncomfortable. It was not painful as such, but it was way more uncomfortable than the first one. She kept it up there for the good. They do 5 seconds, so she's like 5, 4, 3, 2. And last week it was just a couple of seconds. It felt like an in and out. This one was a good tickle around up there.
Sorry, so why did you have another test?
Yep, they do the test on day 3, and then around day 3. And then they do the test around day 11. So,
what was the reasoning behind that? In case the first test wasn't accurate,
you can test negative in the first 3 days of exposure, and then you can test positive in your most contagious to other people period, which is after day 4 to about day 10, I believe. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I believe that's the case. And then after that,
the virus can hibernate.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think the longest it's hibernated in someone is about 20 days, which gives you an idea that someone can pick it up on day 1 and then not develop it for 20 days, but be contagious after about 4. So it's really quite an insidious.
Okay.
And it's not, there's no, this is corona, this is what it looks like. There's, they've obviously not fully found every strain of it or decided on what it actually is in a lot of ways. So we need to get tested, and we did get tested. I got my negative back. They didn't text me. There's a text service where they text you the result, which they couldn't do on week 1 because the text result service was down. So I got 2 calls telling me that I was negative, but that they came about 4 days after I got tested, and I assumed I was because otherwise if you do test positive, they have to move you to Jet Park out near the airport and put you in isolation, not quarantine. It's managed isolation. It's a bit different. Where
That's interesting. That's an interesting distinction.
They keep you, they keep you away from everybody. And daily I see in the news, because all you have to do is watch TV and read the news here. So I see daily they say where the cases are from. Well, they usually do. And I haven't seen any for Ridges here in the city this week. So, or this past week. So yeah, it's all good. Yeah. But it's been, they've been fine. It's the thing last night, I guess you can't account. Well, you can, I suppose. I'm sure they would have drilled what to do in the event of a fire alarm, but I don't know. What can you do except get people out of here as quickly as possible? How can you social distance? Probably can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's it like on the outside? I'm eager to find out very soon. What's changed?
It seems, we've just recently moved to level 2 or 2.5, I think they've called it in Auckland at least. And Yeah, it just seems like business as usual. I mean, I do notice quite a few people wearing masks, but then again, I went for a walk last Friday because it was a nice day, and I think there were like 95% people weren't wearing masks. So, but you know, I think there is definitely a level of normalcy. If you had just appeared suddenly in Auckland out of nowhere and didn't know about this pandemic, you wouldn't necessarily realize something was up. You know, the traffic's moving, shops are open, business as usual. So, yeah, I have this thing where it's kind of like, you know, where do you put your awareness? If you're constantly thinking about something, that's where your awareness goes. So if you're constantly, you know, in the media and following all the latest statistics and getting really engrossed in it, then, you know, your attention's going to go down that path. But if you're just sort of getting on with your day and trying to navigate your life as normal as possible, then your attention's going in that direction. So, yeah, that's the way I've kind of looked at it.
I saw that they went, so this is kind of a level 2.5, isn't it, though, for Auckland? Not really a level 2. Isn't it sort of tempered with a bit of trepidation because we might have we've got a few clusters at the moment?
Well, yeah, what I'm hearing at the moment is that there was this whole, like right at the beginning, it was, we just want to eliminate it. And we did that whole thing for like 100 days or something. But now I think the general consensus is what you touched on last week, which is we have to live with this. It's not going to go away. So let's just keep moving, take a few more risks, so to speak. And, you know, we can mitigate those risks. But it's pointless just going complete lockdown or, at some point you gotta switch towards moving forward.
Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott said today that you know, they need to just ease the lockdown in Melbourne and Victoria and get on with it, and just whatever happens and survival of the fittest kind of thing. So you know, I don't necessarily agree with that completely, but I do think that, like I said last week, and I still believe it. You know, I don't think we can beat it. And I think this week the word elimination and beating and those sorts of words it seems like they've gone out of the news a little bit this week. I could be wrong, but from reading the mainstream news in New Zealand, it looks like they have realised that. I mean, because we're just going to get. But I saw a new word, subcluster, was brought into the lexicon. Subcluster. So there's cluster, subcluster. What else?
There's other forms of clusters. So it was actually Tony, Prime Minister of Australia, who did that.
Yeah, he came out swinging today. Wow. Oh God, they got it all wrong. They got it all wrong, and they need to start opening up again because the financial cost. Yeah, blah blah blah. And but I mean,
there's huge costs.
Yeah. Oh, there is.
I think there's other things going on too around the world at the moment, which we're not hearing about. You know, like I'm in Dunedin at the moment, and I've been travelling since last week. When we recorded last week, I was in Christchurch, and it is very much business as usual. And I flew on Sunday from Christchurch to Dunedin to start my work week down here, and everyone on the plane but a couple of people had masks of their own. Air New Zealand handed out masks.
What kind of masks were they that they handed out? Were the blue and white ones?
Just the little bullshit masks. Yeah. The ones that don't do anything.
Yeah, the ones that have the gap in the nose and the gap in the chin. Those ones?
Yeah, I call them surgical masks because they look like what a surgeon or a nurse would wear in a surgery. And there are, you know, I don't know if you knew this, Richard, but they're designed purely to catch sweat off the face of the surgeon. Yeah, they're just designed to sort of mop it up.
I thought
like a towel over the face to just catch droplets as you sweat, as you work under pressure with a scalpel, and you're, you know, time is of the essence, and you can't stop to mop your face up. And that's all they're designed for. The N95 masks have some ability to really seal over the face so that if you cough or have particles of virus in your lungs coming out as you exhale, it could actually trap it and hold it. And it's also, as you breathe in, it helps further increase the seal onto your face so you breathe through the filter of the mask. And they're designed typically for people who are painters and tradesmen to not get dust into their lungs. So they were for that purpose more so than for viral purposes, or at least it would be fair to say they have typically been sold through Mitre 10 for that.
So are you saying
purpose,
that,
right?
that they're better?
They're better,
I didn't know
but
that.
they're still not great. But they're better. And what's funny about the surgical mask that they're going to make everyone wear on public transport as of next week, just to finish off that story, she said, "Do you want a mask?" And I looked at her in the eye and I said, "Are they compulsory?" And instead of saying, no, they're not, she went, "No, but they will be from next week," and then walked away. And, the point being, you better start playing ball next week. And I'm going to be wearing my own face covering, which I've just got here. I'll show you.
Right, okay. I'm looking forward to this.
And I got
it?
this one, which is just a thing you wear over your neck when you're snowboarding.
Yeah.
But it,
Some people are doing that.
over your
I
head.
saw that.
Yeah. So
Can I
Yeah.
bring
it's
something up
but
here?
it's pointless. It's just a face covering. It doesn't stop virus particles going through unless those particles have been hoiked up with spit and mucus and they're caught in it. Then it's going to hold it in that fabric. But if you just breathe it through, it's like the equivalent of mosquitoes passing through a wire link fence. Just they're too small in comparison to the weave of the thread of the material.
God, that's
Because I really question the effectiveness of homemade masks from any kind of material you might have
just
lying
fabric.
around at your home, which they're suggesting you should do and recommending you do. And there's all these sort of tips on how to make these masks and stuff. And I just think, well, wouldn't you want, if this is the worst pandemic ever to hit the world, wouldn't you want the best manufactured, high quality, high grade masks available on the planet? Otherwise, what's the point? Wouldn't you want the best helmet in the world if you're doing a stunt rather than just making up some sort of putting a pot on your head or something? It just doesn't make sense to me, I'm afraid. There are just too many holes in that.
Many things that don't.
Excuse the pun.
I mean, David Icke, and we don't get this on the news, Richard. You were talking about life as usual and what we do and don't hear. Because life is just kind of carrying on. We're told to do certain things and we do them, but we don't hear about what's going on overseas. Rob, was it last week or the week before that there was 1 million people in Berlin protesting?
I don't quote me on the exact date, but I think it was last week. It was a big freedom rally, and I believe it was is it Robert Kennedy,
Robert Kennedy,
nephew, who spoke there?
By the time this episode comes out,
that's a lot
a couple
of
of weeks ago because we're a week ahead of the recordings at the moment.
Yeah.
But that's right, and that had a massive number of people in Berlin come out. It was more than 1 million, though, wasn't it?
Massive, yeah, at least 1.5 million, and not just in Germany, but in lots of big European centres. Yeah.
And then the other one that really caught my attention was David Icke, who we've talked about many times on this show. He came out just this week, and he joined in a rally and spoke to 35,000 people and gave a really rousing speech.
Yeah.
And he chanted freedom 3 times, freedom, and they just screamed back at him.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
And that was in your old hood, Richard, Trafalgar Square, I believe, in London.
Oh, I know there's been ongoing protests over there. It's it's pretty divided, but that you got to remember that central London is quite different to a lot of other parts of England. Do you know what I mean? Like, wow, it's such an understatement. It's like different countries, and just because something is happening in central London, obviously it's going to get on the news. That's not necessarily how the rest of the nation is feeling. Do you know what I mean? Just like Auckland and somewhere in the deep south. So, and I didn't see that in Trafalgar Square. I didn't see that. No, I probably wasn't looking though.
Well, yeah, it's pretty hard to find on the mainstream networks. You will find a little bit on YouTube, but obviously there are some big freedom rallies being organised and are happening, but they're maybe not getting as much coverage as you would expect. But it shows me that there are definitely people that are feeling, I always say there's an alter ego to everything, to a story. There's always an opposite. So there's obviously people that are questioning the narrative, questioning what's really happening, and you should be allowed to do that, but we're seeing more and more this whole censorship thing and fact checking. Do you get that? Particularly on social media, a lot of things are just put down and fact checked and go, and it's becoming more
on Facebook. But I did see in the news today something I think is going to change the game when it comes to all social media stuff in Australia, that Facebook are going to ban any sharing of news information on their platform within Australia. So you won't be able to share news reports on Facebook. Stephen's probably got the inside scoop on this.
Yeah, that really concerned me when I heard that, because then all of a sudden you can't share something that you found interesting on alternative media or whatever, or some other version of not the 6 o'clock or not the 9 o'clock news. So you can't share that with friends to tell them or warn them about what's going on, or to say, hey, this shenanigans is going on. We're only going to get the state-sanctioned version of the news that we're allowed to share. And for all I know, if they do come to an agreement, a quote-unquote, can share their articles, which of course they will, because even NewsHub has little Facebook icons at the bottom of their articles on their own app, as if to say, share this on Facebook. They want you to.
Yeah.
Then it's just mad. This is an excuse not to let us share news with other people that might be about health or well-being or democracy or human rights or some kind of medical tyranny. Who knows? Because if it's not state-sanctioned, then they can just use the excuse of, oh, no, that's not news we're allowed to share. So then how do you share news with people? Are we going back to the old email, newsletter amongst friends? Well, good luck with that, because Microsoft and Google probably owns your email accounts. And if they don't like what's coming to you, that can be hidden too. So I know I sound suspicious, but when you add to that, I don't know if you caught up with this, Richard. Last week there was continual DDoS attacks, denial of service attacks on the New Zealand Stock Exchange. The whatever they call the New Zealand one.
NZX.
The stock exchange.
NZX50.
NZX50. Thanks, Rob. So there was a continual denial of service attack from some sophisticated group in the world.
Yeah.
And the result after 4, then 5 days of continual attack was that the government had an arrangement that the GCSB would step in to prevent those attacks. And I think one of the ways they can prevent it, and I guess this is me not really knowing but being suspicious, is lock down internet traffic from overseas so it can't attack it. Now, if you lock down internet traffic, does that mean that we can't look at the rest of the world? We can't see what's going on elsewhere? Does that put us in our own little internet bubble?
There are countries that do prevent...
And on the excuse that, the stock exchange must be protected, and there's a thought for you.
Well, it sounds like China.
Well, there are countries that restrict your access when you're in that country. I haven't been following a lot of that tech stuff. I did see that thing about Facebook. I thought it was just Australia. I didn't realize it was going to involve Facebook in New Zealand as well. Is that what you're saying, Steve?
I don't know either, but I can't help but think of.
I think it's just
often
Australia.
New Zealand and Australia are lumped into the same.
Oh, we have to be. We're too small.
What happens to them is often a canary in the coal mine warning for what's about to happen to us.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well put.
What else?
Something is definitely.
Well, something feels rotten. Something feels really weird at the moment. I mean, that's an understatement. but lots of things just, look, I'll tell you one thing in quarantine that I thought I could do quite easily, and I forgot that I wasn't in England anymore, and that was online shopping. Because I'm telling you, it's not so easy here. I don't care what people say. Oh, no, it's really easy. I just click on this and then it gets delivered. Well, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Not really. Not like Amazon Prime does it, and not like eBay does it, and not like Royal Mail does it, because Royal Mail in England is incredible compared to the service we have here. It's just a fact. So, yeah, I thought I could do a lot of online shopping, just little things, knickknacks. I'm talking about lip balm, like small little things, and then I forgot, can't really do that here. You have to do a big shop at Chemist Warehouse online, spend a couple $100 and get it all on one thing. I get it, but so a few things that are, and I just think that there's some things like that, and I know why they do it in retail in New Zealand, because it would just kill retail. It would kill retail. I get it, but would it? Or would it just create some competition that we sorely need? I don't know, but there was one thing because I thought I could do all these things in quarantine, but you can't really do a lot. You can't really do it. There's not a lot you can do, I could write a book or something, I suppose. Not that sort of stuff, like everyday stuff, like get my internet sorted at my house and stuff, and I get the text from Spark. Now we're going to have to delay it. Well, they said they're going to follow up, and that was Thursday last week. And I still haven't had a phone call. It was supposed to be installed today. So it's just little things. And I guess it's COVID, right? But I mean, is this the way, is this in everything you get, all the emails you get this is because of COVID, due to COVID. Well, what if COVID lasts 2 or 3 years? Is this just the way it is now? Is it just really hard to do stuff now? Is everyone just short-staffed because everyone's lost their jobs? Is it kind of really shit now? That's my question.
Well, it's kind of, I don't know if convenient is the right word, but definitely there's been such a major impact across the board. So yes, I can definitely see that. But, just circling back to your time in the hotel there, I guess it depends on how creative you can be, and, you're limited to what you can do. But I guess on the other hand, there's a lot of things you could do with that time, it's just from my point of view. Yeah. So I suppose, how do you use the time constructively and maybe work on things, and, you can do a lot of planning, and, you still have access.
Thanks, Rob.
To the, no, but I'm shouting this out to other people who may be listening who are in that situation. Because I remember we went through lockdown, level 4. We were not supposed to go out at all. I set up a whole routine of structure that was good for my mental well-being, and also it helped me to get through the day. So, because the normal things that you could do to distract yourself, or not so much even to distract yourself, but just to keep busy in life, were all taken away. So, I guess it just depends on the individual. Some people may just sleep all day and eat.
Well, thanks.
Watch TV, and then other people may actually write a to-do list and plan their next.
Yeah, I wrote a to-do list, Rob.
It's inadequate there, Richard. Rob's incredibly organised.
Stephen.
I'm just throwing some suggestions out to the audience, and how you would navigate and cope.
And I'll have you know, Rob, that I did write a list. I write one daily. Let me just go to tomorrow. Let me see what I have.
Here's your list.
My list is, here we go. Wake up, play PlayStation. There's 2 things. How much can I fit into a day? There's more.
Yeah, you need some time for
Netflix. You might need to half that list already. Just wake up.
You don't want to commit to the day.
No, but you know what? I did read an interesting article in the Herald today from a girl who had said that she thought that she'd come from Hamburg. Anyway, she'd said that she thought that lockdown was going to be really, really, really hard, and like mentally and all the stuff, and on her psyche. And I feared that. I've had my ups and downs with that all my life, and to be candid, and And I thought, and so did people really close to me, think, oh, this is really bad. Like, this could go really bad. And it didn't. And time has gone really quick. I never, ever, I take every day as it comes, or every hour. I never say, I don't feel this way, so I'm not going to feel this way again. And, because that's just bad. But it's been, I could relate to what she was saying, the gist of it, which was that, she thought it was going to be taxing and really hard, and it wasn't. And she was kind of pleasantly surprised by that. And that was my experience too. Last week when we spoke, it's quite interesting because you do go on a bit, I wouldn't say a roller coaster, that's too extreme, but you do go through little waves, right? And when we spoke last week, I was in a, it's almost like feeling hungover. You get jet lagged and you're wide awake in the middle of the night. And then when we come to do the podcast, I'm feeling like, wow, it's like must be 3 a.m, and it's not. You just, your body's telling you it is. But this week I feel more balanced, and I have been opening the curtains in the morning, which I wasn't doing for a few days there. And it's, it's been fine. So I think I don't necessarily agree with quarantine. I don't know before anyone says, everyone should just be out in the street giving people COVID. No, I think that if we have an opportunity, we should be trusted. I know you can't trust everyone, and that sucks. It really does. But you should be able to go to your abode and be, be trusted enough to look after yourself. That's just me saying that, as my opinion. But I know that people won't follow that, so, they probably have to do this. But begrudgingly, I maybe accept that more than I did last week, but I still don't agree with it, and I still don't like it, and I still think it takes away some fundamental freedoms we have as New Zealanders. And this thing of this us and them, which was touched on in another article this week, I think I sent it to you guys. Did I send it to you? It was in one of the mainstream publications, but it was the guy who runs the Facebook Kiwis in London Facebook page, which, not being on Facebook, I've never been on, but I know everyone is on it. It's how you catch up to watch a rugby or whatever. He was saying, quote, or paraphrasing, but quote, Kiwis in London or Kiwis overseas, expats, they only care about us during election time. And you know what? That's true. I'm telling you that you don't want to hear it, Kiwis. People don't want to hear it living back here. And I probably, if I had never gone away, I might have felt the same. But it is true. They don't care at all until the election or until they hear that you're coming back.
Well, maybe that's why you don't have to pay at the moment for quarantine.
Well, I think that's coming though.
After the election, and then it won't matter.
Well, I'm grateful that if I stay here over 90 days, I don't have to pay for that. I mean, it is amazing, right? But at the same time, then I sort of wake up in the middle of the night and go, well, no, I shouldn't have to pay. I'm a citizen. How should a citizen have to pay for enforced quarantine in a country in which they were born and they hold a passport? And I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. But then a few friends of mine ring me and they say, well, no, hang on. You wanted to come back. It was your choice. You've been kept safe. You've come back here to be close to your friends and family, to a safe country, and they're working really hard. We're not a rich country, and you should have to make a contribution. And I start to waver, and I go, you're right. I'm being a bad Kiwi boy. You're right. And then I go back to, so it's a bit of a roller coaster, because this is one of those times I can honestly see both sides. I really can. But I am on the side where, if you start charging people for quarantine, forcibly charging every citizen who comes back, that's a slippery slope, man. It really is. For the future, that's a real slippery slope, because there are people who are coming back here to no jobs. Not everyone who went overseas made lots of money. It's hard over there. I didn't make any more money than I would have made here. That's just a fact, right? So, that's a big whack for a lot of people coming back to be with families, be with elderly or sick relatives, and you're going to hit them with $3,100. Man, that's putting them in a hole straight away. I don't agree with that. I do not agree with it. But, I got a lot of mates, a lot of friends who think the other way, and they're my good friends, and, I accept their opinion on it. But yeah, it's, if they do change it after the election to make it compulsory, whether Labour gets in again or National get in, they will change it if they do, then that's
that'll be interesting. If Labour stay in and the election passes, comes and goes, and Labour's still in, and then it doesn't matter so much what you might tell your other friends in the United Kingdom or in other countries that are coming back, that, hey, now they're charging. It doesn't matter because they're not going to lose the election. That'll be old news by the time it comes around to the following election. So they can get away with, pissing off returning Kiwis at that point, because then it doesn't matter.
But it's something for, there'll be very few Kiwis. There'll be lots of Kiwis who won't, 3,100, like that won't matter to them at all. But there's a lot of Kiwis that it will matter to, and it's I don't know. I'm lucky. I'm lucky because I snuck in, didn't I?
Yeah. Do we have any statistics, Richard, or would you know of how many Kiwis actually have come back from overseas? Is there a number?
Well, actually, you can go on. I think I sent it to you guys, didn't I? Because it's public information. It's like, I don't know if you call it the Freedom of Information Act or whatever it is, but it's public information.
It'll be somewhere, won't it, on some government website or...
Yeah, it's public info of how many people come back each day. So they give the exact... They have to. Here we go. Oh, no, that's a different thing. Sorry about that. Here,
because
on my phone, but,
I don't think there would be any other time in our history where we've had so many New Zealanders coming back in one time, in such a short space of time. It's the whole trend of the way it's been for years.
Yeah. And there's really interesting articles, Rob, that you can read about that in the paper over the last few weeks, which is telling you the statistics on this particular time in history with X amount of people leaving, and there still are a lot of people leaving a day, and X amount of people coming back. Yeah. So I've got it here. It's customs.govt.nz.
Right.
And they tell you, I think on the day that I came back, actually, I hadn't got it on there. I can tell you the day I left England, 304 people left and 318 people left. Now, there's a lot more people leaving still on certain days. I think overall there are more people coming back, but some days there are 739 people leaving and 545 coming in. So, there's this whole thing about like we touched on it last week as well, about the closed border lie, which has been blown out of the water now. Yeah. Winston Peters again today, has said, he's had this battle with Labour today saying, they mismanaged the border. Well, from what I was reading overseas, I was panicking to book a ticket back, right? As a lot of us were over there, panicking, like, oh my God, am I going to get back? Who am I going to fly with? Who are you flying with? What website's there? Who you see? Because we were really panicking. And and they're really expensive, like really expensive to get back. Don't even, go there. But, and then you start looking into it and you start going, well, actually, there are flights back. There's lots of people coming back. There's loads of people flying back, right? Because the borders are still open. The borders are still open. I mean, it's pretty clear how many people are in this hotel. And so... Yeah,
I looked at flights and I could see a couple of flights every week.
Yeah. Well,
and they were bloody expensive. I think it was around about $1,000 away each way.
Yeah.
But, they're normally $350. So it's not a huge increase. And they're flying on sort of limited capacity. So, hey, they're still flying. And the idea that they're totally closed, it's just not true. I mean, how else are they going to get all the film crews in the country for James Cameron and his buddies that are making films here? And I'm grateful they are, right? We're all grateful their industry is moving.
For sure.
But it is happening. People are still coming in, and it isn't a closed border. It's just a significantly reduced one. And that is the kind of the difference between what we're told and what is true. We are given the impression that the world is a certain way, and it's not quite like that.
Well, yesterday morning they were late to do my morning health check. They do a health check every morning. They come and blast your head with the thermometer. Amazing tick. That's like Star Trek stuff. I still can't figure out how that works. It's incredible. You just beep. Remember when you had to hold it in your ear for like 60 seconds when you're at the doctor? And not always your ear. And it was really uncomfortable. And now they just blast my head. And every morning I try to guess it. The guy is the same guy every day. So I said to him, 39.6, 39. What is it? What is it? He goes, no. And he has to get out of his pocket again just to tell me what it is. It's frustrating for him. But anyway, whatever. He said, sorry we're late today because 99 people arrived this morning. We had to check them all in.
Wow.
So 99 people arrived in this hotel where I am yesterday morning. So there were a lot of people outside yesterday. I think I sent you some video from outside with the fire alarm, but that was still, that was plus the 99. So there would have been hardly anyone here then yesterday, which was kind of like, where did they all go? So I guess that on balance, there are still lots of people coming here every day and lots of people still coming into the country, so borders aren't closed. And my mate in Melbourne, I talked to him and he says, he says, look, my mum's, this is quite funny actually. He says, look, my mum's ringing me and she's saying, oh, how are you doing today? Oh, he says, what's wrong? Well, I do worry about you. He's like, well, what are you talking about? I'm working from home and I went to the mall today. So he's in Melbourne at the mall, sending me video from the mall with his mask on, of course. He's shopping in the mall.
Wow.
Right? And then he's working from home, doing his 8 hours a day at home. And he says, what are you? Can you send me? Well, they are in lockdown. They are in lockdown. They are, but it's not. It's lockdown light. It's lockdown Aussie style, right? So, he says to me, "What are you reading in the? Can you send me some screenshots from the Herald and from stuff and stuff? Can you just send me some stuff?" So I send it to him, and he goes, "Wow, okay, because I'm not reading that, and we're not feeling that." So I don't know. It's not just him. It's another mate of mine in Melbourne who says, yeah, but I'm still working from home and I'm still going to the mall and I mean, we're locked down for sure. But, we just can't go clubbing, but and we can't go to watch the AFL. But apart from that, so honestly, and what people think about in New Zealand, they ring me and they go, "Oh, you must just be so glad to get home. No masks, no lockdown." I'm like, what? What's that noise when you flip the, with the LP comes off the record player, because I want that noise right now. Because I say to them, "What? No, we're in lockdown." Sorry, mate. You're in what? You're in what? Like they take. I go, mate. We're in lockdown. This is worse than London. Way worse. There's no comparison.
And the thing is, we're in an age of absolute connection. Never in the history of mankind are we so connected with devices and social media. So we can get information instantly. We don't need to turn on the news and get their information. We can just, and it can be so diluted and so convoluted and so, it's just mass wall-to-wall information. So to try and, just to try and discern what is real and what is right, it's just mind-blowing because we can all just post something and give our version of events. I think someone else can do that, 100 times, 1,000 times. And so what is, what is actually really going on? And, sometimes the only way to know is to actually physically be there and experiencing yourself and not get it from secondhand information. And the thing is, the whole Chinese whispers, someone reads something and then it gets passed on and then it just changes form and it's been, changed. So, I have to really disconnect from media and stuff like that because it's just too much.
I just have trouble doing that.
I think you go around in circles and it just becomes too overwhelming. It's an overload of information. And, so it's crazy, man. It's just so crazy.
Are you looking forward to getting out of lockdown and getting your first few days in the New Zealand real world?
I hate to say it, but I'm looking at the real world out there and I'm thinking, I don't know, and here's all right now. I'm doing okay. I've got my job in here, which is to watch as many TV shows as I can in a day.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but someone has to do it. There's a knock on the door 3 times a day. Used to be 6. But anyway, now it's only 3. And the cake obsession in this place. They're obsessed with cake. Cake with every meal. I don't get cake with breakfast. But there's so you get 2 full cakes, like not a cake, a slice of cake a day, but why cake? Why cake? Anyway, I don't know. But am I looking forward to it? Well, I don't know. Am I looking forward to seeing family and stuff? Yeah, totally. Mates hanging out, having some freedom, getting my car sorted out and all that. But am I looking forward to having to join the job market? No, never, But so yeah, I am. But look, I booked my ticket back when there was no lockdown, and Jacinda was saying we beat COVID. I don't want to say too much, but we just beat COVID. That's when I booked my ticket. I booked my ticket back to a very different New Zealand than we're currently in. Yeah. Not that I'm trying to say, I feel a little, not at all. I'm glad to be back. But I booked my ticket in early July. Late June, early July, say. And, you guys were COVID-free. Elimination, the word eliminate. And you were walking.
The envy of the world.
Oh, my mate
the
was down.
The crown.
Oh, and he was like, hey, man, I'll go stand up paddleboarding today, whatever, maybe I'll go to the mall after. The world's my oyster, And I was looking at him going like, well, I've still got to wear a mask in Sainsbury's, kind of annoying. I want to get my car fixed. Well, we've got a backlog at the moment. Yeah, so it was like everything was a little bit harder, even though it, was relatively free. But and the government was doing did you know about the English thing, the eat out to help out?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. So what the government did is 3 nights a week they did half price meals in participating restaurants, and nearly all of them were participating. So you go and get half price drinks in some places. Not all the places were doing the drink thing, but the meal thing they were, and it was cool, man. We were out and about. It was really getting people out and about again. So there was this feeling of we're way over the hump, and they keep calling it the hump in England. And so I booked a ticket back to where there was never any hump. It was just total eradication, and everything was free and wonderful. And then I came back and straight into quarantine. So with constant fear of isolation if I got so much as a sniffle, Yeah. Well, you don't want to end up in Jet Park. You sure you've got a cold coming up?
Yeah.
And that's something else that someone touched on in the paper today, was people are just going to end up faking their symptoms to go home. Do you have a cold? No. Because a lot of the things they ask you are verbal. Like, do you have a cough? No. Do you have a temperature? No. Are you aching? Are you going to the toilet regularly? Yeah, fine. So I'm sure you could get away with, saying you haven't got any symptoms. But yeah, well, the question was, I am looking forward to getting out of here. Sorry, I went on a bit, but I'm looking forward to seeing you guys face to face rather than, virtually.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and that'll be good. I mean, we can catch up in the cafe at Brown Street in Avondale and do something there amongst the vibe of real active people and music and all that jazz that we normally do.
When I listened to those podcasts when I was away, when you were in the cafe, there was the ambience was ambiance. I don't know, and I liked it. It was really, it was really cool. And that, I guess, listening to your podcast now, I listened to your podcast in London, right? I listened to it, and I really enjoyed it. And when you're in the cafe, when you started doing the cafe stuff, it was kind of adding to my feeling that New Zealand was like back to normal. You're actually in a cafe with microphones, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, I booked this ticket. And everybody to a man is saying to me, "Oh, I wish I was going with you." And New Zealand's a paradise. I can't believe you've got no COVID there, you know. And so, my timing's never been great in anything. So
yeah, it's easy to push back on things like it's a paradise when you know that the country you live in isn't really a paradise. It's just the image we like to give.
Yeah, well, that's another pod.
And you've got to remember also that this whole scenario is, you know, fluid and changeable, and that's life in itself. You can make these plans and they can be completely derailed. And so, can be very fragile and very unexpected. So you can have the best laid plans as you did, and then you've got to sort of maneuver and change and adapt and make the most of the situation. And the other thing is the situation is always impermanent, so it's going to pass. You know, at least you have only 2 weeks, so that's manageable. You know, you can plan that, and it's always good to look forward to something.
Yeah, I mean, I went through this thing of feeling hard done by just because I'm I don't know, whatever. I felt a bit hard done by about being forced into this quarantine. But now, you know, my ideas about it have softened. Like I said, over the past week, I am grateful that, you know, there is some kind of thought for the rest of society and not just myself here in New Zealand. You know, and I do love that about New Zealand, but I don't know, still. But but I've softened my you know, I don't have the hump as much as I had.
That's
last
fair
week.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be initial resistance
exactly.
to something like that. Yeah, and
resistance.
You've softened and you've adjusted, and
but people still trying to get my lift though. What's up? Come on, you know, one person in the lift. What's up with it? One person in the elevator. What's up with it? Come on.
Yeah.
You wear it says the sign is right there. Like if you ever needed like a classic example, how people are natural human beings are rule breakers, right? You know, we toe the line, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to little things, we just want to break the rule, you know? So there's a sign, you know, one person in the lift at a time. So I had my second COVID test yesterday with the lady who was a little harsh on the old nasal cavity. And I press 4, you know, going back to my floor, goes up to 3. The door opens, there's a lady standing there. I'm like, why does it stop? So was it just a malfunction or whatever? The guy downstairs had pressed it first. I don't know. Door opens, lady standing there. She just quite brazenly just tries to walk in to my elevator. And I go, oh, through my mask. I'm sorry, but it's one person per lift. So you can't. No. Pressing the button. Sorry. Doors close. And then instead of going up to 4, I'm frantically pressing 4. It's like, ooh, we're going down to the ground floor. No, that's where the most people are. Now I'm going to have more confrontation. Doors open. This really tall guy, just doors open. He's you can see him sort of smile through his mask. Oh, you know, he goes to walk on my lift. And I said, oh, sorry, mate, you can't get on my lift. You can't. It's one person. And he just looks at me. His eyes were like fire. He was just looking at me like, are you serious? Are you serious, mate? Come on. You can't, you know, because he'd been waiting a while, frantically pressing 4, holding the key up to the little thing. And the door, so look, these people just want to get on the lift. I mean, they want to get on the elevator. You know, This is the fundamental thing, is not being in an enclosed space. And I'm turning into the elevator police. So I don't know. I just think there's even the government softened their stance on it today, haven't they? It sounds like they're going to have to go for it at some stage. Just go for it. Just rip the Band-Aid off and go, you know what? We're going to try and manage it, but if it happens, it happens, because people are always going to want to get on that lift. People are always going to want to get on that lift.
Well, you either start moving forward and start creating the reality that you want, or you go backwards. You kind of want to learn from mistakes or failures, if you want to call it that. And inevitably, there's got to be a shift towards moving forward and beyond at some level, whether it's now or sometime in the future. But and that's the interesting. I'm always thinking ahead and going, how long is this going to play out? Because nothing in the whole history of the world, the universe is everything's impermanent. Things have seasons and cycles and processes. So it's just a question of, do we, as humanity, start collectively intending that we, there's a call to action. You can either fight it, or there are other ways. There's other ways of navigating the situation on different levels. I'm just sort of, that's where I come. If individuals take responsibility and start doing things to shift. I know this is sounding a little bit woo-woo, but it's like, at the end of the day, we're creator beings, so you just got to start shifting your awareness and shifting your mindset to creating solutions and creating things, rather than living in the fear sort of based scenario or the past, So I think I hope that's what's happening. I hope there's people are shifting towards that, because then we can create that collectively,
I think whatever
that makes sense.
Whatever they do and whatever happens, the government, whatever rules get passed, humans are always going to want to share an elevator. Aren't they? They're always going, and no one wants to get on that lift. No one wants to wait for that one solitary free elevator that comes every 45 minutes.
Well, as long as you
wants to travel the elevator of life on their own.
Yeah. What are you going to do? So the thing is, I don't know. There's be one person on a plane. Imagine that.
Yeah. And you won't have to be super wealthy anymore.
Tickets.
That's just how they run.
Yeah,
guys,
exactly.
On that note, I think we'll wrap it up. We've hit an hour. And thank you for your update from quarantine for podcast number 2 on that. And we'll catch you again in the cafe in Avondale.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, can we do that maybe next week or a week and a bit, or whenever you guys say? I feel privileged to be a guest on the pod that I've been listening to for the last however long. How long you guys been going now?
Gosh, we've
18 months.
We're in the mid-30s. We've done 30-something episodes.
Is that
at around about one every week or 2 weeks. So, yeah. I'll bring it to an end. Great speaking with you both. We'll hook up together, the three of us, in a cafe and have the Brown Street coffees to keep us company.
Nice.
And the good folk and staff there, including Jeff, who looks after us at the Brown Street Cafe. Until then, guys, have a good weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Yeah. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.